Morning, guys. Good morning, good people. Morning, all. Yeah, I've got a trade up there, as you can see. Sorry, morning, all. Up there, as you can see. I trust you all received it. I think it was sent out to everybody by the company. Yeah, just if you didn't, just mention that, because you should have received it. Good. Thank you, Bobby. Yeah, everyone should have got it in. On your own. Thank goodness for that. Seems to be sorted. Thanks for that. Well, I didn't post, no, it's by the company. I think it was posted to everybody, VIP included. Should have received on the VIP as well. You know, what I'm saying is, it should have been sent to your mail, your WhatsApp. Anna Maria, I just want to clarify this so we're on the same page. Okay. In fact, might be an idea if we get another trade out and send the VIP group only, then I'll just notify me if you received it. Okay, just to clarify that. Okay, all right. Let's put in here. Okay, came up with a short today on the CAD-CHF. Let's just look at the reasons why. It's always good to know why in case it's going wrong. Just going to mute everybody. That's okay. Right, where were we? Okay, you can see on the 50-day moving average, there's a downtrend. Let's just scrunch it a bit. It's in the sell zone. It's gone and attacked it. It seems to be holding. And I think the CHF has come a little bit stronger. Remember our CHF JPY trade we got out yesterday or the day before, I think it was. It's hit the TP. So it looks like the Swiss franc is now starting to wake up. The Canadian, I know slightly, well, quite a lot aligned with the US dollar. We know about the interest rate decision coming out, almost certainly 0.25% increase later on tonight at 9 o'clock. I still think that as it may, I see a short anyway. I see a little bit of downside there. The 10 seems to be holding. Yeah, so I thought that might be an idea for a short. Other guys agreed. If you agree, clearly you've got more knowledge if you're attending regularly here to make your own decision whether you agree it or not. And yeah, so if you took it clearly, you do agree. And yeah, so that's the trade idea. It should have been sent out to everybody, but those that haven't received it for whatever reason, like the look of it, I can go into more details. Okay. Morning, Lorenzo. I shall come to you in a moment, Lorenzo, on the CAD JPY idea. Anyone not received it? If though, you got the P stop loss TP, the risk parameters, enter or not accordingly with the correct volume. Okay, so no feedback on that. So I'm assuming you've got it, so that's fine. Right, as mentioned, difficult to go into too much detail on the WhatsApp, Lorenzo, but I can do a little bit more. The reason why I was a bit hesitant on the long here is simply put, it's still in the sell zone. It's still not broken resistance. And I am not as confident of the CAD as I am basically on the Swiss franc at the moment. And let's just get these guys in a second. Let's see a little bit more clarity. Yeah, it's not, you know what I'm saying? It's not an agreed break. It could pull back a bit. I hear you completely. It's up there. It might get some strength. I'm expecting some strength to creep in on the dollar, but I don't know. It's a guesswork there. It could be interpreted in any specific way. And I'm just a little less confident on buying this against the yen as I was on selling it against the Swiss franc. That's the reason why I hesitated and said, please wait. It's difficult to go in more detail, clearly on a WhatsApp. Yeah. So I thought rather see it here as you joined, and that's the reason why I'm a little bit hesitant. Lorenzo came up with that in the WhatsApp this morning. I'm hesitant. He thinks of a buy here. So let's have a discussion here. What do you, good, thanks, Pete. What do you guys think? Would you wait? Would you buy it at this particular stage? I've stated my case. I'm not going to do it, but as before, it's up to you to make your own decisions based on the acquired knowledge you've got. Would you say, right, I think it's worth going for a buy on this? Any comments on that? Very important you join the comments, shows that we're learning. We've got our own ideas, our own thoughts. Any comments, guys? Anybody else got any comments on this one? Anybody see it as a particular trade? Not sure particularly what you mean by that. You want to wait for an hour before you buy it? You see it. Yeah, sort of. But you see it. Yeah, Tili, you see a buy on this one. Yeah. If you want to buy it, yeah, that's my particular opinion, Tommy. If you want to buy, I can pull up the calculator. Do you want to buy it? Yeah, Lou run, I like it. Got a bit of 85 pips. Where you're going to put your stop? That's. Suppose you could put it there, maybe here. Do you want to buy it, Leotili? I need some feedback on this. Leotili, are you there? I need some feedback. Do you want to buy it? Okay. Where do you want to put the stop? I think you have to, sorry, the TP, you have to be around about that level here. So you have to, well, you have to use the 4, I don't know. Quite aggressive. TP 98.66. And then the stop's got to be a little bit lower. Maybe this is a stop. Like that, see if that's going to work. And there, what happened there? That's obviously not going to work. So we have to go to tighter stop. Yeah, maybe a little bit tighter still. How about that? I'm with you on that, Eugene. But yeah. Okay, that's CAD CHF. Well, that's all we've got a short, so that's going to work out. 9707. Well, where are you going to put your TP then? Clearly, that's not going to work. Clearly, that ain't going to work. So we're going to put your TP. Maybe you put it here. There you are, if you want to do it. Well, there you are. If you want to go along with the TLE, there you are. I've made my case clear. You want to join it. If you want to join in with that one, I'll put it down with pleasure. Anyone else want to join him on this one? Okay, fair enough then. I know your person seems to do this one there, so I get you. Yeah, got that written down. See how that works out. I'm definitely sitting on the fence on that one. Okay, right. Right, there you are. If you want it, there you are. Okay, CAD CHF that's been mentioned already. Yeah, so not much point going any further. Okay, all right, let's go back to a couple of trades that we've had. AUD CHF is still doing okay. I don't know if you're modified or whatever, but at the moment it's 30, about 70, 75. We'll take out the cost, say 70 pips in profit, good stuff. Modify stop accordingly if you're still in. CHF JPY actually hit the TP. Everyone modified the TP upwards, but actually hit the TP. We had a TP of 142, clearly that's been done, so that's a nice one. Okay, I don't know if I'm still in it, but if you are, modify your stop to normal, but it hit the TP. EuroCAD, I hope most of you guys are out, but it suddenly jumped down. Jumped down, is that correct English? Jumped down, it's a contradiction terms, eh? Moved down. 145, we had an entry on the daily. It went up there and then it came off. I presume most of you guys have been stopped out, hopefully in the profit. If you weren't, you were stopped out in a loss because it did come down to the stop loss in the end. Okay. Anybody still in that one? Anyone stopped out in a loss? Anyone? Any resultants on that one? Because in theory, hit your stop loss in a loss or a profit. It's a big difference, Fanny. No loss. Okay, pretty about that. But yeah, yeah. If you're modified, you should be out. If you do good for us, at least that's good stuff. Okay. Anyway, all right. We'll try and get some decent news then. EURNZD. That did eventually hit the TP at 1.6890. Clearly, that hit the TP. There you are. Even pushed above slightly. So that one hit the TP. So that's good. I don't know, still in that one, but it should hit the TP. In small profit, in loss. Now you confuse me finally. Completely confusing me. It has a loss or a profit, one or the other. Morning, could say. Anyway, yeah, okay.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, go for
it. My raise stop loss, it did that, but it wasn't a very small profit. It was just above my entry.
On the EUR CAD or this one?
That's correct.
Now, which one's correct? EUR CAD or this one?
EUR CAD. Sorry, I'm a little bit lagging.
Okay, so you lost out on a profit, but you didn't lose money on it because it just, okay, well, fair enough then. Well, that's good to hear. So hang on, you should have had if you're a trading guy, you should have modified and built in the profit. Okay, that's okay then. That's I was a bit confused. Okay, fine. So that hit the TP. CHF JPY hit the TP, and unfortunately, CAD did hit this one here. Did hit the SL, but it seems to be most guys are out in a profit. So that's good news from that point of view. F stop. Let's leave the shares for the moment. What else? We got GBP NZD. It's all over the bloody place. This one. Where we got this one here? We got it written down somewhere. I think we have. It seems to be all over the place, but I can't quite find where we got in at. I've got it written down somewhere. It was a couple of days ago. Oh, yeah. This is a couple of days or so ago. Okay. A short 91.37, dancing around. Look at this for dancing around. Look at the hourly one here. Dancing around all over the place. But anyway, it's a bit of a profit now. Let it run. Yeah, hang on. What's happening here? Bit of resistance there, 4 hour. Bit of resistance there, dancing around. I'm not quite sure to make of that one. It seems to be dancing around like a cat and a hot tin roof. I don't know if you what price you got in at. You might have actually taken it because it came down on the daily right down here yesterday. So actually, hang on. Where are we? 89.65. No, it didn't quite get. Sorry, 89.65. Anybody still in this? Some guys might have taken the profit yesterday. Anybody still in this one? You're still in it, okay? Because it came out nicely there. Some guys might have modified, and because it came down over 100 pips. I think some guys thought that might be more like it, Lorenzo. Eugene, in theory, should be stopped out in the profit if you modified after that big jump back up again. If you came right down here, you get a round figure, you get a bit of a boost jump up. So in theory, you should at least, I don't know, around about this level here, you should have modified too. You should be stopped out in a decent profit on that one. Okay, if you're still in, well, see if we come back again. Okay, sorted that out. Got knocked before I blinked. I'm not sure, knocked out positive or yeah. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Can you okay, good point.
Sorry, Roger. I got knocked out in a very small.
Lost you there.
Sorry, I got knocked out on the GBP NZD, but in a small profit on the raise stop loss.
Okay, fair enough. It should have hopefully been a bigger one. But anyway, so be it. Not quite sure what I mean by that. Got knocked out before I blinked. Knocked out positively, or did not quite sure what you mean by that. Okay, I'm just going to mute quickly because it's not to stop the background noise, so we're okay. No, I'm not clear what you mean by that. Okay, right, we can move on, come back to it if you want. Gold, yeah, anybody still in this one? It's doing pretty well. It's going to be probably a little bit sideways today with the big news coming out at 9 o'clock. I'm just going to quickly check as I'm speaking the economic calendar. Is anything in between that time? Give me a second. Wednesday, GBP at 11:30, manufacturing the Eurozone, 11, just before 11 o'clock. Euro CPI, don't try and straddle trade it, it's coming out at 12, so there's quite a bit coming out. ADP, automatic data processing on the non-farms, that has some importance coming out at 3:15. Manufacturing coming out at 5, job openings coming out at 5, and then we know about the statement coming on. There's quite a few coming out. Again, trying to predict anything could happen. That's just guesswork. Okay, so I hope that's all clear. You've all got your economic calendar. If you haven't, please post, and I'll that you haven't got it, and I'll copy and paste the link on the chat line there for you. Okay, gold, I think probably will go a little bit sideways going forward. There's so much coming out. I think most of the traders will be sitting on the sidelines. Those are in will be holding. Those are not in will be probably staying on the sidelines. The only move will be quick in and outs, high speed traders. Okay, good to know, Lorenzo. Good stuff. Okay, so let it run. If you're in trade, modify, at least protect yourself and see what happens. Okay. So that's not too badly either. We need to recap on. I think that's the lot. Yeah, that's the lot. Some guys went for a very aggressive trade, NZD JPY. Remember, I stipulated extremely aggressive. See what happened there. It was a buy, 83.78. And did it get to the TP of 83.50? What we on now? Let's go to 4 hour. 83.50. Yeah, you should have made money on that one. So anyone took the aggressive trade, according to my figures here, you should have hit the TP.
No, Roger, the TP was 84.50.
84.50. Oh, you're quite right. Beg your pardon. No, you would have. No, okay. Put the daily probably a bit clearer. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So clearly you took it then. So at least you're in a profit. Okay. So see what happens from here. So you're in a bit of a profit. Not hectic, but it's there. What's that? It's going around about the 80 mark. 78 is written down here. Quote 80 is about 15 in profit. You might get a bit of noise around the 84. Seems to be happening. Yeah. Around about the 84, pull back a bit, but it's trying to move back up again. So it's not looking too bad, the aggressive one as well. Okay.
So what I've done is, sorry, I've raised my stop loss last night just late, around about 11 o'clock to 83.99, and it did my stop in a small profit, but at least I'm out of that aggressive one.
Okay, that's fine. No problem with that. 100% on that one. No problem. Okay, so just to recap on that, guys, and the trades we've had out this week, from what I can see here, they've worked out pretty well. Has anybody found to the contrary? Has anybody found the trades have not worked for them? Because if they have, we want to discuss why that occurred. Because on paper, what I've got in front of me, AD, CHF, JPY, Euro, NZD, have all gone well. NZD, JPY, we just discussed, not too bad. Euro CAD, it did come off, but it should have been stopped out in a profit. So yeah, that's all. Feedback on that. Thanks, Ed. So it should have done. More the point I'm trying to find out is if it didn't, let's discuss why. Because it's easy enough to lose on the loser, but we shouldn't be losing on winners. And if you're losing on winners, we'll have to do some homework. That's what I'm trying to get at. Okay, so it's working out. That's fine.
No, Roger, if I can add something, it's working well on the Forex. The only thing is it's not hitting the TP, but always hitting the raised stop loss in my case. But at least everything went into the profit. The shares is another story. That didn't go that well so far.
So far, yeah, we might come right later on. I agree. We're still in those. They're slightly negative, but we'll just let them run. They're slightly, normally, I know tech shares can be a bit quicker, but normally shares we call swing trading, usually they're a little bit longer, so you can let those run. So that should be okay. Now, I just want to comment there, because mine will finally just said that. I want to comment on that. Let's go to the Euro CAD. You modify or you don't? This is the question. It sounds like Hamlet, eh? Modify or not to modify? That is the question. Okay, now, if you hadn't modified the EuroCAD, you'd have been stopped out in a loss. If you hadn't modified the Euro NZD, you'd have been stopped out in the TP. So that's the juggling question. That's the question you have to make your own decision on. There's no set answer to that one. Do you modify and take a smaller profit because it's stopped out in the noise? Or do you leave it and let it run and risk getting stopped out and a winning into a loser because you can make it up on the TP, because the ratio on the TP is always higher than the ratio on the stop loss. That is the perennial question. That's what you have to make your mind up, which is it to be. I pushed a little bit for the modification because it seems such a pity when you leave it and there's the TP. No, there's the TP where the crosshair is just a bit higher, for argument's sake. It gets close to it and then comes down, stops you out in the loss. So I sort of push towards the modification, and sometimes you're not in when it hits the TP. But then you've got to say on the other side, you didn't make a loss on this one because you did modify it. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yes, but I looked at or analyzed the last 2 weeks, and the problem was that the trades that I did not increase the stop losses, in the end of the day, I lost it in loss. So my decision was rather increase or raise the stop loss and take a smaller profit. At least then it's better, but it's not that good for my overall kitty, can I say, because I'm still down I was down for the month of January.
Well put. Did you hear all that, guys? Well put. You've done a proper analytical job, and yeah. It's always the other thing is as well, you're down slightly or down or whatever, is because when you modify and you're taking your, let's say, 20 units profit, it's fine. But when it does not get there and actually hits the stop loss, and let's say you lose 50 or 60, that is really the issue. In other words, the winning trade is not making up for the one loss that does hit the SL. That's the big problem. That's the big question. And you've sort of answered it in a way that it's difficult to answer because, if you hadn't, I'll be honest, I find that impossible to really answer that one. Do you leave it and hope that you're going to get, I tell you what, there's one way of leaving the SL, the TP. If you get one win and one loss, you will make money because it hit the TP as opposed to the SL. So that is one way of looking at it. So again, that might be an idea to give it a try and say, if you believe in the trade, risk getting stopped out in a loss after it's been a profit to make up the fact it hits a TP. But that will only work on a one-to-one risk reward rate. In other words, you win one, lose one, then you'll make money. So it's difficult to really answer that. Maybe what you can do is go in on a demo as well the demo can come in useful, as well as the live. Do what you sing on the live and then leave the demo and let's say 4 or 5, give it a chance, maybe 5 trades. where you don't touch it and see if you find out of those 5 trades coming up, whether you profited by not touching it, not interfering with the stop or the TP. It might be an idea. Does that make sense? Because then if you can do that, Farley, and and then come back with that information for us all, it'll be interesting to know how going forward. Does that make sense?
Yes, I've tried that in November, and I end up with a loss. So that's why I decided to do it this way. I just feel or experience that the trades that I'm taking is a little bit too volatile to leave it without raising the stop loss.
Yeah, I hear you. I think that just answers that quandary. That is the issue, is because that volatility. That is why I'm pushing for maybe modification because of that. Because I'll give you a good example, the GBP-NZD. Let's go back to that one. I think, was that, or was the Euro-NZD?
No, this was the GP, the first one, NZD. That was very volatile.
Yeah. Let's do the hour. Might get a clearer picture. There we are. Look at that. Brilliant. Look at that. Not so brilliant. So if you'd had the TP up here and you're doing brilliantly, held on, and it comes back down here, it might not have worked out for you. It's a what do they call it? The $64,000 question. Yeah. It's the volatility screws it up, and the volatility is basically, in my opinion, a lot of indecision out there. It's not getting the follow through you like, and that's why in the past, going back maybe 4 years, maybe 5 years ago, I let the thing run because it used to get a particular follow through. It was fine. It's just lately we haven't really got the follow through. That's why I've gone for modification. But it's slightly frustrating because I'm trying to be upfront and honest with you guys there. Well, finally said that he's done that, and he still had a slight loss on that one, despite that, which doesn't actually bode too well. Will that feedback anybody else? Have you been doing okay by modification, come out slightly ahead of the game?
Can I add my 5 cents on that?
For sure. It's very important.
Important 5 cents. Yeah, so I did a bit of a tedious study on the history of the tips that we get in the mailbox.
Okay.
And definitely almost most of them, after going into the profit, went down into a small loss again and then back into a profit. So historically, definitely, if you had not moved your stop loss, you'd have made more money than if you had. But I think there's something to be said for the peace of mind of having changed your stop loss and knowing if you stopped out you're going to be in a bit of a profit. But just the data historically is that you'd have made more money by not moving your stop loss.
Yeah, I have to say that's quite important. Thanks very much. Did you hear that, guys? That's talking about analytical experience. You take the trouble to do. We should already do it. Yeah. So thanks for that. So in other words, the tips worked out well. They didn't work out as well as you'd like if you'd modified, but it's for peace of mind, absolutely, as Lorenzo said. But historically, it's tempting not to. The problem with that is going forward, you abide by that, and we get the next 5 trades that don't work so well, and then you're going to be annoyed, as Anna Marie said. Then you lose 1,000 instead of 100. Yeah, it's a quandary. I'm not. I'll be honest. I'm indecisive on it. I hear exactly what both of you guys said there, Fanny and Eugene, and the track record is positive. Leave it, but. All I can say is I can't answer that question. You've heard the information. Hey, jury, the jury, there's not 12 good men in there, there's good people in there, there's 37. You've heard the both sides of the equation. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to duck on that one, and you've got to decide whether you modify or do not. But there's an excellent point put in both areas there. What I will take out as a positive is the trading tips, ideas, singles, whatever you like to call them, I've been doing okay. And that's the most important. Okay. How you interpret, how you play with them, you've got the information to make your own decisions, but it's no point having it if the majority are no bloody good. So is the feedback then, Eugene, Farney and everybody else, you found the trade idea has been sent out the last month or 2 months or whatever, have been okay or better than okay? That's the point I'm trying to make. Whether you interpreted correctly or you did something silly or whatever, that obviously that's your side. But on an objective way, do you feel the trade ideas have been okay or better than okay? That sort of feedback is important as well, not just for my own ideas, but for everybody out there, especially newer guys joining in on those signals. You find this is quite an important one. So I'll be discussing it later because this is actually very, very important. And these two, I'm not trying to kiss their bums here, clearly intelligent people, and have done a little bit analytical as well as emotional. So it's their input is very important. So yeah, do you find the trades, if you look back at them, have not been too bad, been terrible, been good, or what's the feedback on that, do you feel? Kind of an open discussion here, not trying to make the right noises, we're not politicians, but trying to actually get some sort of truth and facts out of it.
Roger, from my side, I really think it's good. I like it. I specifically like not only the signals, but as well also the trades that we're taking in the trading room after discussions. If anybody complain or if anybody do a little bit of research and just look at what they obtained when it was hit, when it was not, everybody's circumstances are different. I'm not always in front of the computer except or the laptop, so that makes a difference. But in the end of the day, I really think it is absolutely essential to attend and to take the trading signals specifically and to maintain it, to see what we are getting.
Good, thank you. That's the sort of feedback and very articulately put. Yeah, and especially the trade room, you can see why. A lot of guys just go for it and then without realizing why. I was using an analogy, you're not in the army. The general says, go over the top. Like in the First World War, go over the top. You don't know why, where, or what, just do it. Here we want to say, look, listen, General, why should I go over the top? What's the reason for it? What am I risking my life for? In this case, you fight axes for. And that's the idea. And a little bit, to be honest, it's not just a little bit cover me a bum to see why, but the most important is it gets an idea of more understanding so you can make those kind of decisions. And if you go for it, you know that you went with an open mind and that's it. Yeah, so basically repeat what you said. And you said a little bit better than me. So that's good. So the overall aspect of those, for the new guys, but more important, we're trying to be truthful here, the guys have been doing it for a while, find they've gained a lot more value by attending on a regular basis, shall we say, and understanding why than not, basically, if you see what I mean. Okay.
Sorry, can I do another one there? Or do you want to do a trade?
Please.
So just three things. Firstly, it's if you, for instance, you have to consider the history of a bit of a longer time. I think maybe for the guys who joined in the beginning of January, you're going to think January wasn't a great month, especially like if you had to just take the history of January, I think you'd be probably in a loss. I only did half of January in the analysis. And the rest of last year. Secondly, if you have your position sizes right, then your account will come right pretty soon. So now I'm doing the 2% position sizes, which, so as Roger explained, 2% of the whole account is at risk on a trade. And it's just allowed me to just not stress at all. Like my account was in, I think at a stage, since I can't be at every trading room, I've had to pick my trades, and I picked the bad ones. So I've been in a loss, I think, of 6 trades in a row, but it really didn't matter because there was still so much room in the account that I didn't stress at all. So I could just keep doing trades, and now I'm breaking even for, well, now it's February, but for January I broke even pretty much on the signals, just because of that fact that the position size was right all the time.
Great, thanks very much. Couldn't put it better myself. In fact, I know I couldn't put it better myself. That's what I've been pushing for. Get those volumes right. It's all about your head. If your volumes are too big, your head is not correct. Get it right so you're not, you're not fed up. Well put, and I totally agree on that. That's good news, and appreciate the signals. So yeah, I'm getting the impression overall we're getting more of an understanding of this discussion, and the basics of the signals aren't too bad. Okay, always remember the variables of the market are completely uncontrollable. As Farney says, everyone's got different amounts, different strategies. But I will, however, say one of the major problems is undercapitalized. No, there's not enough money in your account. Undercapitalized, you can't always hold on for longer term or whatever, because you just don't have the finance to do that. So you've got to take the shorter term route. The beauty of more money is you can hold on, you've still got free market, other stuff. Unfortunately, there's no way around this. Capitalism means it for a reason. And that's why I always make that statement, your first million is difficult, the second million is not so difficult. So yeah, it goes back to say, have your knowledge, correct volumes, keep your head right, have the right equipment. But unfortunately, the other aspects you've got to have, the 3 are very important: knowledge and equipment, and you've got to have the capital. And it's always going to be an uphill struggle in the capitalist system if you're undercapitalized. No ways around that. You're very limited in what you can do. Okay.
Roger, can I say something?
Please go for it. Absolutely. Trying to get discussion going. All that. Great.
In the beginning, when we started trading, me and my husband, we were so glad when we received a signal. We just jumped, and we were very in a hurry to do the signal and get the signal going. We did not actually really look at the fundamentals or even the technicals. We just did the trading because we were so excited. But we've learned to wait a bit, look at the trend. Like for instance, yesterday, the Tesla, we waited for Tesla for a better price. And then Tesla went completely in the different direction. So we did not take Tesla. We did not lose anything, but we just waited a bit. Signals are, in my opinion, are nice. They are really, it's really good because, as I said, somebody has already done technicals, done fundamentals. It's a suggestion. It's an idea. Look at this. Not like us in the beginning. We just sprang and just took the signal, and it did make profit, but yes, it did make losses. But you learn just to wait a bit, just look at it a bit. And well, that's my little piece of advice.
Yeah, well, absolutely. That's the whole idea, is to understand why. I remember when I first started many years ago, and I was with Cortex. It's amalgamated into Vunani, which is a bigger company, broker that is, and it's an investment company. You might have heard of Vunani, it's quite big. Anyway, the bottom line is Cortex before that, and they sent a signal, and I went and took it blindly because you expect them to know this. You didn't know the full score, and it didn't go right. I wasn't so much hurt about that. It's interesting psychology. I wasn't hurt when you go right. I was more thinking, how is that? Well, why is that? They know. Why did it go wrong? What's going on here? And that's when I started to think about it a little bit and realized, well, I go on, it's about buyers and sellers with different opinions to create the market. If we knew it was going to go right, we wouldn't be able to take the trade in the first place. And that's so imperative when I'm getting across to think why that is. And majority, quite right, like you say, it's a natural instinct. We don't do the course, don't do the trading, just rely totally on signals, go and jump in. Never mind if it says buy at 1.9108, let's say, and it's now 1.9130. They don't even look at it, just jump in. and wonder why, etc. And that is the majority of the problems we are creating, have been created because of that. Some, actually not now, but a while back, we didn't discuss maybe not send signals, because the fact we get when it doesn't work out for the person because they don't understand where or why. Yeah, so that's basically it. So when you get the signal, look at it, look at the entry, and you need to have a bit of knowledge to say, do I agree with it or not? We've got a signal down here, CAD JPY is a buy. Leotilia and Lorenzo liked it. So I'm trying to say, I'm putting it down, it's helping people to think and say, let's go for it. I didn't, but that's not the point. And if I'm wrong, I'm happy to be wrong. I'm happy to do right. And that's the basis of it. But yeah, so that's been the discussion. You've heard some intelligent people who've had a little bit of experience in trading, putting it forth. So guys are starting on the trading journey will understand ultimately what we have to make our own decisions. And we'll help you and advise you. But as I say, ultimately, if it goes right or wrong, it is still your decision. But hopefully we've got, so no, we won't, I don't see we're going to stop them now. And I still feel, looking back at like Eugene said, most of them okay. It's normally the interpretation is incorrect. We won't stop them, but I'm just trying to put forward that variables involved. We know it, but I'm repeating myself a little bit. But thanks very much. It's clarified for a lot of people and myself, and the feedback is important. Okay, right. Anyone to add?
All right.
Please go for it. Yeah, please.
Sorry, Roger, just on the lighter side, what helped for me when I started and I didn't understand everything, a container of Prozac helped before I went to bed as well, eh?
Okay. Yeah, true. Thank you, Coyote. I'm just going to go back to a couple of myths, because I was listening to what you were saying there on the chat line, a few little bits and pieces. Appreciative trading signals. I said, frustrating that get a little bit of money in your trade account, or you're new to the trade, one has no choice but sell for whatever profit, big or small. If you have enough or more, enough in your trading account, can be restrained. Just don't come along. It really boils down to psychology, absolutely. Can't overstate psychology to my, not everything, but big part of it. Lost the thread now. Psychology, trade, keep losing the thing here. Several things, trade, like life, can give you chocolates and lemons. One must learn to choose their battles of trades. Yeah. Nevertheless, like everything else, get your head right. I follow quite a bit of sport, and I quite like tennis. Don't really play the game, but one thing I like about tennis, not a team sport, it's individual sport. And I find the major difference between the big three, you know, the Federer, Nadal, used to be Andy Murray, but and more to the point, Novak Djokovic, is I'm prepared to bet there's not a great deal in difference in, shall we say, expertise as a tennis player between those three and, let's say, guys ranked to maybe 10, 11, 15, 20 points lower. It's mainly the mental head they've got. And I'm convinced one of the differences, well, the major difference between sort of the king of the castle and the all-star-rands is not always just talent, it's actually the head. And that is the difficult part we have to sort of master somewhere along the line. Okay. So, yeah, so we should learn that. It's quite an important discussion, so we can sort of get better and see other points of view as well. Thanks very much. That's fine. Most valuable asset training for me is a discussion on trades and so on. That's right. Discussion around the trades as to why. Yeah. That's what you need to do, Anthony. Rescue tablets also works. Yeah. It's vital. Psychology, kind of a state is vital. The fear of missing out, jumping in, etc. Yeah, absolutely. There's a bit of discipline on the Tesla in the end. You waited for your entry. I'm assuming you didn't take it in the end, but I assume you had maybe you're having your finger on the button, you decided not to. If you had a sell limit, you would have been, that's right, a sell limit, you'd have been taken in anyway. Okay, I'm still saying if you did get on the sell limit on the, what was it, Tesla share on the 170 mark, I still have faith in it, and I still think it's okay. So yeah, thanks for that. That's good. Okay, so that's an important discussion. We should have more of them, and quieter moments, not flying trades, etc. Probably a bit quieter over the next couple of days. Remember, we've got the interest rate coming out tonight. We've got a couple more coming tomorrow, and we've got the non-funds on Friday. Don't forget, at 3 o'clock, I'll be doing a session for an hour on Friday on this particular channel here, as I call it. So yeah, bear that in mind. Okay, right. I can't really add anything to it because it's all been said. To admit it slightly more articulate myself, and the people speaking there, it's not even their first language. So I'm proud to say it isn't myself in my own language. But listen to what they said, and I totally agree with every single point there. Okay. Right. Right. A little bit late. Some good stuff there. I'll go back over it again. Anyway, that brings it May. So having said that, I don't want to throw a negative amount of trade ideas. We might still get them, but be a little bit cautious. Always remember, if you go to your economic calendar and it says it's above that, stronger the currency, below that, it's weak the currency, I wouldn't take a lot of notice of that. The problem is we go back to psychology and the interpretation. You know what I mean? Let's say finally gets some news and he goes into a week's depression. Another guy gets the news and he shrugs it off. You know what I'm saying? So it's really the interpretation of the news when it comes out. So it's that really that's the major unknown. I personally think he's going to put 0.25% up, and I think he's going to retain the hawkish stance, and he's going to have a disclaimer saying, we're hoping to do this, but if anything changes, we won't, and blah, blah, blah. And that's sort of, you know, like I'm saying, like waffling a bit here, hedging the bet a bit. But I think it's going to, with that, get an overall picture that I do expect a little bit of dollar strength to come in. Am I going to put money on it? Am I going to bet on it? Absolutely not. I want to see the market reaction on it. So expect a bit of sideways, because what I've just said then, almost certainly the majority of people out there who have been trading for a while are taking the same viewpoint. So you're probably going to see some basically up and down sideways movement going forward. Doesn't rule out we can't take a trade, but just bear that in mind. I'm a little bit wary of taking any dollar trade. One, I said that maybe if you want to do it, it's highly risky, like euro dollar, GBP dollar, AUD dollar would have done okay as long as you in pretty quickly out sort of thing. Not quite a scalping trade, but not hang around too long. And if you'd done that, it should have worked out reasonably well. So the way forward is what can we Roger, would you recommend that one piece should do sideways? No, you've got position size is completely related to what you're prepared to risk. Let's use the word as it is, lose on a trade as a percentage of balance. Eugene put it there because he's got a couple of bucks in his account. I'm not to say how much I'm allowed to, and I'm sure he'd be very good if I did, but he ain't got $1,000 in his account, so you can work on a smaller percentage. If you got very small amounts, you have no choice but to increase your risk, because otherwise it's not worth trading. If you say I've got 500 Rand and I only want to risk 2%, that's 500 Rand, 55, that's 10 Rand. You can't take a trade. There's not a single trade out there you can take on the 2% because not one will be a 10 Rand risk. All of them be more. So you have to either put more money in or increase your percentage on the risk. So it's absolutely depending on what you're prepared to risk. Again, what I mean by that, you've got George there who's put 10 grand in their account. The point is he wants to put another 200 grand in, but on fixed deposits for 1 month, and it will only be released in 1 month. He knows that's coming in, so he's not going to abide by those rules. He just wants to get in the market. At least he's got some money in there, and he might risk 20% because he's 20% 10 grand, but it's 2% of 100 grand. So he can take those risks because he knows more money coming in. So it's all based on that. So, you know, you might say you got 5 grand in your account. You've got to say, is that 5 grand being squeezed out? And that's a lot of money to me, basically. Then you got to say, I'm going to risk 300 grand. But I put in 5 grand to give it a go. I put another 5 grand, something happens. Then you can up your risk factor. Those are sort of areas you should be looking at. Now you say, right, I'm going to stick to that 300 grand per 5 grand rule, and you're doing okay. Now you've got, let's say, 10 grand in your account, then clearly you can up the risk factor. But I'm saying until you decided you want to do that, stick the discipline on each trade. Don't with 300 on the GBP NZD, 500 on gold, and 200 on, I don't know, euro dollar. That is indisciplined. Rather stick to the same one on every trade until you decide to do a smaller or a larger one, and then stick to that, if that makes sense. But I can't say position size, I can work percentage, because Pete, you've got 10 rand, Van Dielen's got 20 rand, Etienne's got 5 rand, Farney's got 50, you know what I mean? It's different. So you've got to say, what, basically, what am I prepared to lose that my head can handle? If you can handle that, you go for that amount. Example, Tobacco just put 1 million in his account. On the 2% rule, he's prepared to risk 50 grand, but his head can't handle that. You can only risk 20 grand. You see my point? So what your head can handle. Hope that's been some sort of bit long-winded answer to your question. Okay. Okay. In times like this, we need this kind of interaction. We can all benefit from it. There's not a lot of trades going out. Unless, again, like I mentioned before, if you see one, please mention it and look at it. Because everyone hates the word loss, you know, everyone hates the word negative. So what we do, we go into denial, push under the carpet. Just say as it is, call a spade a spade. What you're prepared to lose. If you're not prepared to lose anything, you can't trade. You know what I mean? Yeah. Unfortunately, skills are usually unnatural solid. Not just like everybody there. A skill is developed by doing something unnaturally. I always go back to golf. The golf swing is completely unnatural. Nothing natural about it. That's why it takes muscle memory, an enormous amount of practice, and working on it to get it right. That's where the skill comes in. You know, I hand you a golf club, I guarantee you'll hit it the wrong way because you're doing the natural thing. But the natural thing is often the wrong thing to do. And more to the point, there's no skill involved doing it naturally. So that's why you don't get paid to do something naturally. You don't pay an alcoholic to go and have a couple of whiskeys. You know what I mean? It's natural to do it, but there's no skill involved. You pay them not to have a couple of whiskeys. S&P. I don't think so. I don't think so. As I said before, Mark, guys, stick with a strategy. You've gone in, where's the stop? Like 4-1 something or other. Where have we got it written down here? Yeah, 4-1-40. 4-1-40. You took the strategy, stick with it. If you cut your loss now and it comes flying off, you're going to be highly fed up. And if it does hit your stop loss, you think, oh, well, I lost 10 instead of 5. But you programmed into your head, into the strategy, the 10 rand. So throw away that 10 rand you're risking on it, mentally speaking, out the window, metaphorically speaking, out the window, and stick with that strategy. Well, you should be highly fed up. You should be annoyed. If you're highly fed up, it means you've overexposed. But to jump out now, I tell you what, Mark, analyze, be honest with yourself and analyze. Right, you jump out now, and instead of hitting your stop loss, you have taken a loss by jumping out now. The news is good coming out late, it fires down. You're going to be seriously irritated with yourself. I could have been 100 units up, now I've taken a 20 unit stop loss. So just go with the psychology aspect. You've written that off at 41.40. There's a stop up here, 41.40, up near the top there. It's above this guy here. I personally would stick with it. You put a number in there. I'm not quite sure why or where or what, but anyway, you got a number in there. I'm not sure to post that number. Okay, all right. So yeah, so I personally would stick with it. And if you get stopped out, well, so be it. But yeah, I was. A lot of people ask me, should I? And I was going against me. I always say stick with a strategy. But always, but most of the time I do. Okay, all right. Let's have a look at a couple of trades just to go back and see how they're going. What do we still do? Out of the ground quite a lot. Is anyone still in the AUD CHF? Anybody still in that? You should be in a nice profit if you are. Because I don't want to go back and modify, take profit, do anything with it. We can discuss it further if you, because we're not seeing a buy or sell entry at the moment. I'm just saying, anybody still in that? Okay, I can do that. Better still, WhatsApp me so I can get the details. It's easy to do that. You would that your full names. Don't just say that's me from the trading room. Your full names, and please, if you can, put in your just gonna put for everybody here in your trading. Sorry, just give me a second. The typo, otherwise. Yeah, just when you WhatsApp, please. I get this all the time. Hi, can you do this or whatever? I don't know who the hell's calling. But we chat in the trading room. I've chatted to a lot of people in the trading room. Be specific. This is John Smith, account number 123456. Please add it to me or whatever, and I can check it out, update, etc., and I know who I'm talking to. Okay, so we're all out of AUD CHF. Anyway, let's just do this one more time. Get confused, right? Roger, trading support. Please WhatsApp. Don't call. You can if you want, but please make it important because I've got a heck of a lot of clients, etc. It's very time consuming. If it needs more detail, I'll either do a voice message, preferably semi-text voice, but if it's a bit more involved, I will use a voice message. That's the point. In other words, help me to help you. Don't hold back information like drawing teeth. Give me that information, the more the better, without going into too much irrelevant detail, and then I can be onto it and answer quickly. Okay, so if you've got Kiel Bochel, I'm pronouncing some of these names, just WhatsApp me your full details, and if you got to enough, I'll put in the VIP, etc. Even if you haven't, you can still save the number and WhatsApp me occasionally if you need some advice. Okay. If you got less than 500, I'm going to be quite rude with you. Don't bother. You're wasting my time. You're wasting your own. It's not going to work for you. If you're so undercapitalized, you can't do anything with it. Do not expect the miracle. You've got to have some capital to do the job properly. Okay. No, not on the chat line there. To my WhatsApp number. Okay. I'm not going to take notes of that because I've got other stuff to do. WhatsApp me, and like I said, with the number I gave, and then I'll do that with absolute pleasure. Always think where the other person comes from. You know, can I have a one-to-one Zoom? You got in your account. Well, if you take the time up, etc., what I'm paid, and I want to charge you £1,000 an hour for that information, you might think differently. You see my point? Just have to basically think. What am I I want, but what am I offering to get in return? Like everything in life. Okay, so everyone seems to be out at AUD CHF. That's fantastic. You should have made money on it. And we got one out this morning. It seemed to be around about entry price at the moment. Very quiet, not doing much at the moment. So yeah, just leave that, let it run. Okay, right. Let's look at oil. I haven't been keen. I still stick it. I'm in with a buy. That's interesting. Actually, I'm sorry. I'm going to jump to AUD USD before I go done. It was already in it. Yeah. Somebody asked me actually yesterday when it was on the round figure, do you think it'll break through? And I said, I doubt it. Probably get some noise and a bounce. Will that bounce be continued? I have no idea. It is a dollar related. All those. I don't know what profit you're in. You didn't mention that, or what price you got in. You didn't mention that. But I'd either modify my stop loss or take it. I'd be a little bit nervous. Okay. Maybe modify the stop in case it goes up to around figure 71. We seem to be trying to head there. So maybe see if we can head for 71. I'm expecting noise at 71, profit taking, which might be a bit of a pullback. So maybe modify it to make sure you're either breaking even or a couple of bucks profit. But I think it's a reasonably good chance to get to 71. And you can look at the, it's on the daily, so look at the 15 points a bit clearer. You can see the majority of the moment are buyers. So it looks like it's heading with a round figure. Okay, Pete. So I personally, I'd hang on in there for 71. And probably I would be taking profit 71, but I'd modify to protect. Okay, hope that answers your question. Good enough. Okay, WTI. Just make sure the information's there. Scrunch it a bit. No, I wouldn't. It's right in the middle of the trading zone there. There's no particular information coming out to buy or sell it, particularly in either direction. If you want to buy it here, I would set the TP here because that's where the strong resistance, which is only about $2 away. We're going to put the stop down here somewhere, $2 away. You can't get a risk reward. I personally, oil at the moment, I recommend you leave it alone. Okay. And I hope you can see why. I'm not just saying because I say so. I'm trying to give you a backup reason. I would leave it alone for those reasons. Okay. If you know something I don't, well, share it, please.
Roger,
Yeah.
the OPEC meeting is today. So when will it be announced? I see on the economic calendar 2-star, 12 o'clock. Is that when they announce their decision or what?
No, it's probably a couple of days meeting. They'll discuss. There'll be a pressure on them to either increase or decrease. They'll make their own mind up. At the moment, the guys there, the OPEC is complete, almost sounded. A lot of the other guys don't take the notes, the OPEC guys, so they go along with it. Bottom line, I think they're going to stick with the policy of no change. Okay, so, and it normally lasts a couple of days. I wouldn't predict what they will not say. I'm just guessing there won't be much change. I think it's going to meander along. If it got to 97, they will change their tune and start increasing production. At the moment, it's low enough for them to say they ain't going to increase production. They had since August of last year a slight decrease. I don't think they're going to change on that. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's going to be much of the same. They'll sit there and they'll chat for a couple of days, but there won't be any specific say at 4 o'clock this afternoon, we're going to decrease or increase. No. It's more like a Q&A instead of a decision. You know? Lagarde is speaking right now. Powell's speaking right now. That's more of a Q&A. It's not like non-funds coming out at 3:30, bang, and you get the figures that specific instance. Yeah. So yeah, adding it all up, I wouldn't buy or sell this thing. There's no reason whatsoever for me, unless you're a high-speed, short-term trader with no cost, to get 20 cents here on the price, 50 cents there, or whatever. Leave it alone. It's not nowhere near enough meat at the moment. Okay, Tony, nice to join us anyway. Okay, that makes sense. That's my opinion. Okay, right. Anyone still in the US dollar, Japanese yen? We should have taken profit. Probably most of you guys are out on that. You should have been out in the profit. I want to cross some of these things written down here because there's no point going back on them if you're not in them anymore. So anybody in the US dollar, Japanese yen, or you're all out on that? You're still in it. Okay. Thank you.
Hey, Roger.
Go for it.
That's black SMA. Is that the 100?
That's
You never used that one before.
Okay. Music.
Now it becomes a problem on the W.
Yeah. No, the reason is actually it's probably a couple of weeks ago. It's someone fairly new to trading read something about it or saw it. And I thought, well, let's be open minded and have a look at it. And I do quite like it, so I put it in there. The major ones, the brown and the blue ones, they are the most universally used. And the 100-day is less used, but it still has a value. So you don't have to have it, but I found that as I tweaked it to find it, it's causing me a little bit more benefit than not having it. That's why I'm using it, yeah. But I'll go back to one we discussed here, the US dollar, Japanese yen. Let's see, we're giving you different information. It doesn't really matter in this case, it's below all of them. It doesn't matter in what order, it's below all of them. But as you can see, the 10-day, one of the reasons I've mentioned before, I'll just go over it again, I want quite like, all the word quite like the 10-day, is it's the most difficult thing is when to exit. Very, very difficult. And that helps me to when to exit. So if I've been stopped out in a profit, I'm not anymore, it's irrelevant. But if you're still in it, you look back on the daily, the 10-day moving average is held. It's held. The only time it didn't hold was back down here, which was on the, what date was that? The 19th of January, which is what, a couple of slow weeks ago. So it's because when it's pulled back, it's fairly sideways, you can see, the 10 days holding. So as you mentioned, you're still in, I would be happy with that. Would I be buying now? No, I would not be buying now. Okay, so I would still let it run. Only issue you got, remember, a fundamental always overrule the technicals. If the fundamental comes out good for the dollar, you'll see it jump. If it comes out, hopefully you got your stop loss nicely placed because it will come down and knock you out. We don't know what's going to happen there, but if you're still in, I have no problem with that. You should be in a profit anyway. If you got in, the trade room was 129.60, so you've been in a profit anyway. So hold it. If you're out, don't touch it. That's fine. You should have made a profit. I can't fathom how you'd have made a loss on it. It should, you've done something wrong to be a loss. You should be out in a profit. And if you're still in, Eugene, I would hold it. Okay, are we good with that? Okay, go to the next one, CAD CHF. Let's go and discuss why with Marius there. Why do I think that? I'm in the daily, yeah. Okay, several reasons. First of all, the Swiss franc, I've been mentioned for a while, is a bit undervalued. And it seemed lately, especially CHF JPY particularly, hit the TP, seemed to come into some strength. The Canadian has been fairly weak going forward, and it's been following the dollar, which has been fairly weak going forward. Number two. Number three, as you can see, the 50-day is a downtrend, the 100 is a downtrend, and a slightly downtrend on the 200. Okay, that's another pleasure to sell it. So also, it went back up to the 50-day, and it seemed to, when it tried to break through, the sellers came in, etc., etc. So I thought the more pros to sell it than to buy it or leave it alone. Hence, that was the reason. So I've got a stop loss up here somewhere out the way on the daily. I think it's got higher than that. What's the stop? 69.35. Yeah, so the stop loss is not too wide. It's only a few pips away, just above those highs there. So it's not a horrendous risk if it does hit the stop with a TP down there. So it's leaning on the aggressive with a fairly tight SL and a fairly tight TP. Having said that, the stop loss is not tight for the sake of it. It's there for a reason. So in the right place, it's still fairly tight. So I added that up together and I saw the sell on that basis. Okay, that's my take. Marius, you've been trading for a while. You might have a completely different take. You have the floor if you want to mute and chit chat. The others, I'm sure, will benefit. So you can say, that's my analysis. It'd be nice to hear what yours is, especially if it's contrary. We can learn from it. Okay. Or anybody. Marius has got the floor, but anybody like there have analysis for a buy on it? It might be a very good point. Point is, that's what a debate, discussion's about, is to get the thinking juices going, and then you can get a better perspective. But I've given my reasons for the sell. Let's hear your reason for the buy. Okay, yeah. Remember, I mean, you can go in for a buy, it could jump up to 69. You take your profit, you won on the buy before it comes down. The guy's still in and he hits the TP. So the guys who sold it win and the guys who took a quick purchase one. So you can't get a win-win from that way. Okay, so you're happy with that. Okay. Yeah, please feel free if you're not be rude about it, but say, not sure about that, Roger. What about this? The diplomacy there, which I could work on, I suppose. But yeah, and then we can all learn. Myself, everybody, in fact. Okay, good. Just go back to new guys, and how many new guys are on here? Not too confused, but this is good stuff. Stick with it, because this is not a complete red or black, right or wrong. Like in the casino, you know, it's either red or black. No, it's quite a few variables involved. It's important to learn from. Okay. Okay, so yeah, well, you're buying slightly okay at the moment. We're about 6 pips down, but it's not at the moment so far too big a worry. It might go up a little bit more on the 15 minutes, maybe the round figure, I don't know, but we've got the overall plan. And don't panic, guys, if you go into a trade, it's natural psychology. Want to go the moment you press the button to go in your direction. Fortunately, it doesn't quite work that way. They'll jump around. So have your strategy, have your volumes right, let the thing play out. Modify or not, it's up to you, as discussed earlier, but give the damn thing a chance, basically. Okay, fair enough. We'll see how it works out anyway. Okay. Right, going forward, let's have a quick recap on gold. See if anything probably a bit sideways, I guess. Yeah, a little bit up, actually. It's good news, but pretty sideways. The NAS, anything happening on the NAS? Just a quick recap on that. It's gone up a bit, but surprised me. I thought we might have a bit of a pullback, but still be hovering around a specific range at the moment. It's back to break up. I think it's going to hover around there till some more fundamental news comes out. We'll see if it jumps up. I'm going to take my particular opinion. I think it'll come off, but like the non-farms, you know, we don't know till it's released. Okay, so let those trades run. I haven't got anything new to add. Oh yes, just Zengas there. It's back to break even. God, it's all going in gas, eh? But yeah, I haven't really got anything else to add at the moment. Yeah, even the afternoon session, I think it might be a little bit quiet. We can discuss things and learn. Even the shares are probably a little bit up and down, waiting for the big news to come out. Okay, so that's about all I can add from that. Okay, if there's not much trading, we hope we can get value from asking questions at Q&A and discussions. So at least we can learn to hone our skills, if you like. Even if we can't get a trade out. Okay, so right, I'm going to leave the. You're in it. You know the score, Eugene. I'm going to leave the Japanese yen allowance to put a line through a little tick there. So you're going to go over it again. CHF JPY. We've hit the top. The TP on that one. NZD JPY was an aggressive one that came out yesterday as a buy. Anything happening on that? That's popping around, come back to break even, so we'll leave that running. Yeah, the Euro CAD, I think we're all out of that one, so I'm going to put a little line through that one. AUD CHF, I think could always go back to a couple of times if they're still in it. And that's right, just to clear up some of the paperwork here, because I don't want to go over stuff everyone's out of. Okay, right. Yeah, you got to run. Okay, Lorenzo. May the force be with you on that one. Oh, the KD, that's a good one. Okay, cool about that one. That was your trade. Do beg your pardon. CAD JPY is the 197.89. It's come up a bit. We'll see what happens. Okay. Yeah. Anything else you'd like to? Thank you, Anne-Marie. We all had a voice in. That's what I'm trying to encourage. Okay. A lot of people say I'm frightened to ask, and you get my head chopped off. No, you won't. On the contrary. So, just what's it now? I said about 10, 15 minutes to go. Anything else, you guys? We've done a lot of talking. You guys, anything to offer? Any opinions? Anything you'd like to clarify? Cheers, Mike. See you later. Cheers, Anna-Marie. Anything else you'd like to clarify? You're not sure. We discussed a few things and just clarify it a bit. Okay, well, I just think of that. We'll look at it. Oh, interesting. You want to buy it, do you? AUDCHF. AUDCHF, correct. We're on the 1 hour. Let's try the 4 hour. Let's try the daily. Right, on the daily, could go up there. That's 68 pips. We're going to put the stop below here. For an aggressive one on the daily, a possibility, correct. The only thing is I don't like, you're going against the Swiss franc, which is strengthening a bit, so I'm a little bit hesitant on that for that reason. The 4 hour, you could get some noise here, which is just around the corner. Well, that seems to be holding. It's a bit of resistance here. I personally don't see a clear area for me to go for that as a buy now. I think more reasons to leave it alone than to buy at the moment. Strength of the Swiss franc. On the other shorter term charts, a lot of hurdles in the way. Yeah, resistance on the daily. Could well go up. Guess as good as mine. Because of that, I'll leave it alone. Happy with that, Anthony? That's my opinion. I mean, you could very well go shooting up there, but I mean, let's look at the shorter term. No, not much follow through. I'd leave it alone. Okay. Natural gas. You're our good friend there. Doing fairly like nothing. If you're not in, I think you leave the bloody thing alone. If you are in it, let it run. Hell of a slow. Went down a bit, it's back to break even. Hell of a slow. Look at those candles on the daily. Tiny, tiny. And even now, a few sells are coming, a few buys in decision. If you're in, let it run. Don't you waste your time and money being in this thing. Leave it alone. Okay. Okay, right. Any questions going into the close? And are you good, Ewan? I've seen a few names there. Hope I'm not feeling left out. Herbert, Isabel. A few names there, ones I can pronounce anyway. Okay, and any you like clarifying from Tbilisi? You're not feeling left out. Anything you'd like to add? You're important to remember that. You good? Not good? Your moment to reply. Maybe do something else, not reply. You're good. Okay, thank you. I hope you found interesting what Farney and Eugene, as well as Anne-Marie, was saying earlier on. It hopefully gives you a bit of faith. It's not me saying, because obviously I'm biased to my signals clearly, but it's objective areas we've trained for a while. Find the overall, the signals have been not too bad. I won't say great, I won't say bad, I'll just say better than good, shall we say, better than neutral, okay? So at least will hopefully give you a bit of faith and going forward. And that's the thing. Okay, good enough. All right, then, unless there's anything else, should we wrap it up and see what happens later on this afternoon? Don't expect too many fireworks going into the 9 o'clock interest rate decision, but we can spend it hopefully productively via, like we did this morning, question answer. We always add value somewhere along the line. Okay. All good. Hope you're seeing the light and learning and getting value. Okay. Thanks, guys. Again, take the trouble and you're not sure about, in case you forget, write it down. You can bring it up later on. Okay. Cheers. Okay. Well, I'm going to do my video show, I'm afraid. Thank you. Cheers, Von Dilly. Cheers, guys.